It's part of the thing. And then, that's why they had clothes ripping street fight matches in Tennessee, where it was different rules. In the early 80s, they came up with it was really to embarrass Jimmy Hart, because poor Poo-Poo, they would strip him, badly. And he wore these little tiny Speedos because Jimmy was not portly. He had an athletic physique to him, very skinny, and not, and he could get into some smaller underwear. And so he wore these little skimpy underwears, and they would just, it made the newspaper in one town in southern Indiana, up above Evansville. The street fight matches at that time in that territory, the rules were different than your standard, like bunkhouse match street fight, or Mid-South Wrestling street fight. Wear anything you want, bring anything you want, anything goes. Well, this was a no disqualification match also, where you come dressed like you're going to be in a street fight, but the object was to rip your opponent's clothes off. That's the only way to win the street fight match, is when an opponent got his clothes ripped off. So they started having these again, Nightmare and Speed, Danny Davis and Ken Wayne were in a bunch of them. Dundee loved them because Dundee was always going over, right? And he was always the one ripping all the heels' clothes off. And they loved to finally get Jimmy Hart in there and rip all of his shit off. So, the guys were wearing all the time old jeans and shirts and sometimes to help the match and not fucking rip your skin off, you'd gig the seams in the clothes so that they rip easier, especially jeans and shit, because you can get hurt. Actually, you can fucking mash your balls off trying to get blue jeans ripped off of you. But anyway, it's this one spot show, it's one night. Normally, they would rip Jimmy's clothes off all the way down to his Speedo underwear. And then he would do the big take and cross his arms in front of him and run like the wind back to the locker room, like Dangerously did in our Great American Bash match when I stripped him in Baltimore in the tuxedo match. And that was the big pop, right? Well, this day was probably Dundee and Steve Kern, two merry pranksters at the time. If you were at a spot show with Kern or Dundee across from you, you didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. They ripped all of Jimmy's clothes off and then ripped his Speedos off too. And he's fighting. I'm taking pictures and ring announcing at the same time, right? He's fighting as best he fucking could. And they got then they gave them back to him. And he had one end of the Speedos in his left hand in front of his dick and the other end of the Speedos in his right hand, like a butt floss. And that's how he did his run back to the locker room. And the people were going absolutely berserk. There must have been, let's say there was, 700 or 800 people in this gym. The town is like a population of 3,000 or 4,000. It was a Thursday night spot show in between Evansville and Louisville. And those were common. So pretty much everybody in town was either in the gym, related to somebody that was in the gym, or knew somebody was in the gym. And this was on a Thursday night. By the following Sunday morning, the preacher did a sermon in the local church about the nude wrestling that they had at the gym the week before. And the newspaper was a weekly newspaper. So I think I've still got the article around here somewhere. Naked wrestling causes controversy at such and such, school. And it was, and they said, well, it was supposed to be this street fight match where they're always only supposed to go down to their skivvies, but apparently some of them took it too far. And it was and the sponsors were not happy, and neither was Teeny.
I was about to ask you, was she there that night?
Yes, she was not pleased. Not in the least. That's another, but at the same time, you can hear the conversation between her and Jerry, because Dundee's the booker there and he's Jerry's right-hand man, and Jerry got a kick out of it too, but he's got to hear from Teeny, who's got to deal with the sponsors. But there was no more nude wrestling, and there was a reduction in the number of street fight matches after that in the territory as a whole, and no more nude wrestling though.
Did the Fabulous Ones drive her crazy?
The famous story, it doesn't indicate that they drove her crazy. They didn't drive her crazy. And Stan was always especially polite to Teeny. But there was Wednesday nights in Evansville was nobody's favorite night of the week. There was some fine fans in Evansville, but not a ton of them. And the building was the shits. And it was a rotten payoff, pretty much. That was your worst payoff of the week, unless a spot show really sucked. And so to brighten things up a little bit, especially when Stan and Steve were driving in Stan's panel van, they would turn the back parking lot of the Evansville Coliseum on Court Street into what Teeny came to term. They've turned my Evansville parking lot into a whorehouse with their whorehouse on wheels. The van was the key. The van always came to Evansville because that way, instead of sitting in the catacombs of this building that, honest to God, was probably starting to fall into disrepair when Strangler Lewis wrestled there, and he did, in the same locker rooms and had the same showers and probably sat on the same toilets. They would go outside and do their best to spread joy amongst the female wrestling fans of Evansville. And one time they had to switch the matches because something happened or somebody was a car trouble, whatever. And instead of going on last, they were going to switch the Fabs and go on next to last. And that match was going to be last. And they start playing the Fabs music. Everybody Wants You, Billy Squire, right? 3 minutes and 45 seconds or whatever. And the music is playing and the heels are in the ring and there ain't no Fabs. And people, where's the Fab? Where's the Fabs? Where's the Fabs? And the referee is, where's the Fabs? And they're trying to find the Fabs. And they start the song again. They went out and Teeny goes out and knocks on the van. Fabulous ones, you're on. Oh, shit. And they had to come straight in from the van to the ring. So that was another instance that, but it was Evansville. My favorite thing about Evansville was at least I'd get pizza at the Rock-A-Bar. Stan and Steve's thing was they'd get a different kind of pie.
Well, Jim,
have I mentioned that the store at JimCornette.com has been closed for the past little while we restock and refresh for the holidays. And this week, Thursday, October the 1st, Cornette's Collectibles will reopen at JimCornette.com. We invite everybody to come to the grand reopening. It'll look much the same as it did before because the new site is not ready yet. That's going to be a future thing. We didn't want to monkey around before the holidays, but the brand new, big new, by popular demand, the new products, Brian, I've been teasing this. I didn't want to start any panics, but by popular demand, and that's actually not even a rib, because more people have asked for these specific things, actually physically either emailed or tweeted, brought it up, asked about it, than anything else that we've, I think, ever brought out this far. Cornette face and thank you, fuck you, bye face masks. Now you too can not only be good citizens and cover up your germs to avoid spreading them to others, but you can, with either the Cornette face or thank you, fuck you, bye, encourage others to practice, if not at least social, extreme distancing by getting the fuck away from you. You can put on the Cornette face and show them how gobsmacked that you are that they're that close to you. Or you can go with thank you, fuck you, bye, and just tell them actually to leave you the fuck alone. But anyway, face masks by popular demand, along with all of our other favorite items and some new 8x10 photos, including a new classic shot of me in pink and purple from the 80s that has never been offered for sale before. It's just darling. It's just fabulous. Anyway, JimCornette.com. The store opens for our holiday season Thursday, October 1st this week. What do you think about that?
You want to bet it'll open?
What are you? You're waiting. You're putting a hat on a hat here. I'll tell you what. I'll bet you, you son of a bitch. I know who to bet with. I know exactly who to bet with. The folks at my bookie.
I was going to bet you about your pants being ripped off again, but...
My bookie. Hey, unless everybody's been living under a rock, you know that the NFL is back. And the NBA playoffs are back. And they're not letting a lot of people around them, but so far they're back. But that can only mean one thing. You can sit at home and not catch the COVID and bet on these games. It's winning season at my bookie. Folks, regardless whether you've been betting for years or you're ready to play for the first time, my bookie is your best bet this season with the biggest online selection of bets and props. Brian, they've got the biggest online selection of props. I give them props for their props. Their props are properly done. You don't have to prop them up. They are properly propped props. And they've made it simple to win and easy to withdraw your cash. And after all, that's not really the big thing, the winning. It's the getting of the cash. And that's important here. And right now, they've got a $100,000 super contest for only a $10 entry. And they're giving away $5,000 in cash prizes every 4 weeks. You'd be crazy not to invest in your sports knowledge with that kind of potential return. If I had sports knowledge, I'd be betting. But you can sign up at mybookie.ag and use the promo code JCE to claim your 100% deposit match all the way up to $1,000. You put 100 in, they'll give you 100 to go with it. It's easy to jumpstart your bankroll and get started on your winning season at MyBookie. mybookie.ag, promo code JCE. That's right. What you were talking about, wasn't it?
That's exactly it, yes.
All right. You were going to bet on the pants, but you had to bet on this.
Yes. We're betting on something, one way or another. There was a bet to be taken right now.